Okay then, so after a little bit of a detour into Scary Monsters, we go to the next album after Station to Station, 1977's classic album Low. David Bowie. Well, where to begin with Low? Pitchfork's #1 album of the 70s.
One of the most critically acclaimed albums of all time.
Yes.
So
widely considered now to be the Boasters' top album.
Wow. Okay, so bit of context.
Yeah.
I'm going to debunk some myths
about
this album because there's a lot of myths surrounding it.
Yeah.
Brian Eno was not the producer.
No.
That was Tony Visconti as normal.
Yep.
But Brian Eno helped shape the album's second half, the ambient instrumental side. In fact, Brian Eno wrote most of the music.
Yep.
And then David Bowie kind of performed and did his stuff over it. While David Bowie was attending some trials, doing some mismanagement stuff, Brian Eno apparently got his child to play A, B, C on the piano a lot. Bomb, 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 or something like that. And that formed the spine of Warsaw.
I was going to say, is that Warsaw?
Yeah. That's what I'm finding, the spine of it. I mean, he added more stuff on top of that, and then David Bowie added more stuff on top of that. So, you know, you could almost call side 2 Brian Eno and David Bowie.
Yeah.
So David Bowie was coming out of one of the darkest periods of his life.
Yeah.
He was living in LA, you know, obviously we've explained it before, but he was addicted to cocaine, which is basically what Station to Station's all about. He lived on a diet of milk and peppers and cocaine. So he left LA and moved to Berlin, which he described as, you know, I kicked the city of coke and I moved to the city of smack. But I wasn't really tasting smack at that point, so I didn't want any.
Yeah.
So Low is seen as being an album full with pain, but also full of healing.
Yep.
It's David Bowie escaping from drug addiction, basically, and maintaining a low profile.
Was this album actually even recorded in Berlin?
I think elements of it were, but a lot of it was done in France.
Yeah.
And I think some of the mixing was done in Berlin. Elements of it were done in Berlin. I think Lodger wasn't even anywhere near Berlin. It was done like in America, I think.
Isn't it like a famous fact that Heroes is the only one that was actually recorded in Berlin?
I think so. Yeah. So I think elements of it were done in Berlin, but yeah, a lot of it was done in France, and a lot of the mixing was done elsewhere, and some of it was done in Berlin.
Yeah.
But I think if we just picked Berlin, because at that point, you know, in the David Bowie story, Berlin is seen as being the place where David Bowie redeemed himself a lot, and, you know, got his life together basically from the sound of it. And he basically helped produce this album.
Yeah.
So the album, the cover itself, if you look at it, is a visual pun.
Yeah.
David Bowie at this point was keeping a low profile, and what's on the front? It's called Low, and there's a profile shot of David Bowie.
Well,
do you get it?
Yeah. I was just going to say, no, it comes at a really weird period in Bowie's career.
Yeah.
Because it's 1977. Famous music fans is the year punk broke.
Oh yes.
And punk, a lot of punk stars were saying about how Bowie was an influence on them.
Yeah.
Watching, you know, Starman as a young kid probably was what got them into music and stuff.
Ziggy Stardust even has a proto-punk song on it.
Yes.
What's it called? Hang On To Yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was a big point in terms of like people talking about him in critical respect, but probably had never been in at a lower point as a commercial artist.
Well, I mean,
like
records. The album was famously sold as being there's old wave, there's new wave, and then there's David Bowie.
Yeah.
In that, you know, there's old school rock, there's punk, but then there's David Bowie.
Yeah.
So David Bowie, you know, like punk arrived in 76, 77, announced its intentions pretty loudly against these old cantankerous prog rock dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they were the future. Then David Bowie came along with Low, and this literally was the music of the future. This was unlike anything anybody had ever heard before. Yeah. So the whole album is an experiment in pop music and how far you can push pop music.
Because it's got a standard format, 11 songs, They are. It's about 35 minutes long, standard stuff. Only difference is that the actual first side is full of really, really short songs.
Yeah.
They're all about 2-3 minutes at most. They're all fragments of a song, and the last half is all really long sort of instrumentals.
Yeah.
Almost like an ironic sort of almost like a satire of that kind of album format, where they're all like 3.5 minutes. This is like a split between his instrumentals, his rock songs, but they're all short. And,
So it's almost hard to describe the sound of this.
Yeah.
Because I think even now it sounds
very weird still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most famous element of Low is the drum sound. Like it sounds like an inverse of a drum sound.
Yeah.
And it's a really loud thud, and the way Tony Visconti discovered a way of making that sound has never been revealed.
Yeah.
So I like how there's an element of mystery to the album still. There's elements that people aren't clear on. Like, obviously the thing now with stuff like Pro Tools is that, you can make any sound you want and there's no experimentation because you've almost got too many options.
Yeah.
While these guys back in the 70s, they had to experiment and they had to find these sounds. And a part of me likes the undiscovered. I like how there's an element where people still don't know how it was done.
Yeah.
Making that drum sound, it almost sounds like a backwards music, but it's still got the force of it. I can't describe it, you know what I mean, don't you, on the album.
Like the way it opens, what's the one? It's like, you're such a wonderful person, but you got problems. That opens it with that boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bow, 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 bow.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah,
it's just an amazing sound. Yeah.
And people would ask Tony Visconti, well, how did you achieve that sound? And he wouldn't say. He would just say, well, how do you think I got that sound? So he's not revealed how he did it, which I love. That's great. That's awesome.
Class act. Yeah.
That's a class act there on Tony Visconti's part.
Yeah.
So side one is made up of very sharp, fragments of pop songs. A couple of instrumentals as well, actually.
Well, it opens with an instrumental, doesn't it?
Yes.
Speed of Light.
Speed of Light, yeah, which is great.
Yeah. Bow, wow, wow, wow. It's got a great
It completely announces the sound perfectly.
Yeah.
You've got the weird use of guitar, you've got the weird floaty keyboards, and you've got the pounding of the drums. It's unlike any other David Bowie song before or since, really.
Yeah.
That's followed by Breaking Glass,
which is a great song.
Yeah, it's got an
That's the song. That was. Yeah.
Bow, 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 wow.
I'm guessing it's Fripp on the guitar.
No.
No. Is it Carlos?
No, it's Carlos. Fripp's on the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fripp's on the next one. Carlos is experimenting with guitar sounds and riffs on this one a lot, which is really cool. And that one's made up of loads of really weird clippings and voice samples. And I love the part where his voice goes whoa, 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 whoa. It's like literally layering on top of another, and it's got all these really fun experiments with the sound.
Yeah.
That's followed by so deep in your room, you'll never leave your room.
Something deep inside of me.
I'm in the mood for your love. For your love.
His vocals are just bizarre on this album, aren't they?
I love how cut and paste it is.
Yeah.
That's the song that I think best shows that example where it's like, you're a little girl with grey eyes, something, blue eyes. I'm in the mood for your love. For your love. And it's got that one's got a really cool guitar solo as well.
Yeah.
Again, all powered by this really weird percussion, and that's followed by Sound and Vision.
Oh, I love Sound and Vision.
Din 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 din, and it's got that weird played constantly in the left ear, as an alternative use of percussion.
Yeah.
And waiting for the gift of sound and vision.
It's got such a weird mixture of tones, doesn't it? Though, the first side, you go from all these weird sort of pop sort. The first track is obviously so weird, it's sort of almost unsettling, and then the next couple of songs are weird pop tracks, and this is so smooth and like
quite breezy and
light. Yeah, it's quite a happy song.
And then you've got to return to sleazy Bowie with "Be My Wife."
Be My Wife.
That's it. Yeah.
Nick crashing in the same car first.
Oh yes, it is. Yeah, that's a great song. That's a real slower, like atmospheric one.
I think that's the highlight of the album.
I think so. Yeah.
It feels like the most sort of autobiographical one.
Every chance that we get. But I like how in that song he's playing with traditional rock and roll imagery.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of like driving in your car and going on the highway and escaping, but then you crash on the way.
Yeah.
That's low in a nutshell, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's filled with. I think a really good description I read about the album is that like it's the sound of an overactive mind, just experimenting and just going crazy, basically.
Yeah.
He's got all these ideas and all these songs, but he can't fit it all onto one album. He wants to achieve a certain sound. He's trying to reach that sound, and it's a real patchwork, but it works really well.
Yeah.
Then that's followed by, I think, the 7th track, which is A New Career in a New Town, which I love. That's a great instrumental. It's got David Bowie playing harmonica as well.
Yeah.
It's like down, do 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 do. It sounds like a Sonic the Hedgehog track.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great.